Really? Let's run that back. Did he just say what I think he
Tweet
just
all
said?
you want, but at the end of the day, lawmakers, rightfully so, only respond to what voters want.
They only respond to what voters. So how come we don't? How come we're still dealing with the electoral college? What about ranked choice voting? Family paid leave, Medicare for all. A lot of these things, Republicans and Democrat voters won. Ain't none of it passing, not anytime soon. Sorry to burst your bubble. So this whole thing, hey, you know, the lawmakers only respond to what their voters actually like. No, that's if that was the case, America would be damn near perfect. All right, so when it comes to politics and young people participating in politics, it just feels like a lot of useful information is never really given, okay? When it comes to Democrats kind of debating within themselves, trying to figure out what's the best strategy, what's some of the best perspectives, opinions to kind of, you know, take upon is important. You know what I'm saying? If everyone's just agreeing with the same stupid, you know, notion, opinions or perspectives and no one is challenging them, then that's kind of a worthless party. You know what I'm saying? So with this clip that we're going to watch, we have Vaush, Emma Vigeland, Ryan Grim, and Destiny. They're all sitting in Washington, you know, a pretty table, a pretty view and everything. And they're getting into, you know, some pretty interesting topics. And one of them is voting and the importance of it, or is it the most important? And if you understand, you know, and maybe I'm going to have to make a separate video of this. If you understand that the democracy that we have now does not fully represent the American people and what they want or what they value, it fails at that. It doesn't do that duty well enough. And that's all because of how everything is set up. You know, with the not having ranked choice voting or something similar, it doesn't have to be that. With our electoral college, with big businesses paying millions of dollars to these politicians, it's just so many. You know, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing. So I'm pretty sure Mr. E. Wade is going to lay a whole bunch down in the comments. But it just feels like a lot of people might have the illusion of democracy, and if I just vote, everything is fine. And it's like that's not how that works. If you're truly committed to the mission, you know, voting is just not even, it's step one. You can't just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, let's go ahead, watch this clip, and let's have that conversation.
Well, a number of things, but mostly I think how to get people engaged. Vote Dems, ideally. I'm sure we all have somewhat aligned views on that. But to kick things off, I wanted to talk about something that at the very least I know you and I have worked on, Progressive Victory, the fine people who set all this up. They're a canvassing org that we've thrown people towards as streamers, and as a result of that, thousands of folks have gone on out and canvassed. It's given me a lot of hope for, I guess, live streaming or new media as a mechanism for political onboarding. I was just curious what everyone's thoughts were on that with regards to, like, the new path forward.
You guys tell me, because I don't know what the young people are up to nowadays.
I feel like the two...
Vaping, yeah, I do know. I've seen that.
I feel like the two important things for people are, if you're in the online content space, the rhetoric about like Dems and Republicans being the same has to stop. It's absolutely patently ridiculous. If you look at voting records, if you look at stance on issues, Democrats and Republicans stand in stark opposition to one another. So I think it's important to make it seem like voting for Democrats are a worthwhile proposition, if for no other reason because of the composition of the Supreme Court. And then,
okay, so I understand what he's saying on a surface level. Republicans and Democrats are night and day, and like you said, just on what's being voted, what's being implemented, what policies, legislation is being presented, pushed through, is night and day. But if you dig a little deeper, if you just grab a bigger shovel, get your mud shoes on, dig a little deeper, then you'll start to see some similarities. And my biggest issue is the politicians, left and right, red or blue, Republican or Democrat, are getting paid by the same people, big money, by big corporations. Anytime money is involved in politics, it's going to be some shady stuff. Unless you're 1,000,000,000% transparent on whatever dollar is given to you and how that money is being managed and why this institution or this company is giving you $37 billion. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? So if you dig a little deeper, some of the you'll start to see some of the similarities, and that's why a lot of people, instead of saying lesser two evils, they're two sides of the same coin. I like that because they're on different sides, but they're playing the same game. At the end of the day, they're playing the same game. And if you think anything different, I guarantee you have a track record of just going around and around this whole entire racetrack. That's all you're doing. Nothing is really changing on your level, on a substantive level, but you're just going like this. and at some point, we have to be like, hey, get off the racetrack and find something different. So
then I think the second thing that's important is to make it seem like there is actual change that can happen if you engage with the system. And I feel like too many people are so quick to throw in the towel and say like, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter what happens. It's all politicians. It's all the same game at the end of the day. Everybody has corporate buyers and lobbyists and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
I think at the end of the day, when you consume enough of that media, you feel like, why does it matter? Like, why engage at all? And
okay, so I don't know what a lot of people are watching, but the information that I watch, they're not saying it doesn't matter, because at the there is policy that can be implemented that will make your life a lot harder. Double negative there. But so it is important who you vote for, but like I said, if you dig a little deeper, the system, the underground system is still continuing, is still flowing, and we need to target that. You know what I'm saying? So come on now.
And that's really frustrating me to say those two things. On a third thing too, it's hard to encourage this as a streamer because we are so national or international with our outreach. Getting more engaged at the local level, it's so easy to get engaged and see real tangible results from your actions than trying to engage at the national level where it's like I threw $5 at AOC and now I don't really know, what my impact is beyond that,
Yeah, certainly. I think that it's very important to make sure that your political engagement does not end with just voting, right? Like, voting for Democrats is essentially, it's essential, right? You have to do that. You have to vote for Democrats in general elections. I do believe that. But at the same time, that is one of the least, it's the least you can do with political engagement, right? Get involved locally, as you said. Get involved with your local DSA, because if it's just about electoralism, you're going to feel a little bit alienated, right? Because you're not Biden. For most young people, he doesn't represent them. He doesn't necessarily connect with them. And that's why voting, I would imagine, or I would advocate, should be something that you do, but not necessarily where your political engagement ends.
I agree with that, but I would say that voting is the most important thing, and almost nothing else matters if you're not willing to vote. There's way too much online activism. It happens in the streamer world, it happens in the YouTube world, it happens on Twitter. You can tweet all you want, but at the end of the day, lawmakers, rightfully so, only respond to what voters want. Their constituents are the people that actually go to the polls and vote for them.
Really?
There's a reason.
Really? Let's run that back. Did he just say what I think?
Tweet all you want, but at the end of the day, lawmakers, rightfully so, only respond to what voters want.
They only respond to what voters. So how come we don't? How come we're still dealing with the electoral college? What about rank choice voting? Family paid leave, Medicare for all. A lot of these things, Republicans and Democrat voters want. Ain't none of it passing, not anytime soon. Sorry to burst your bubble. So this whole thing, hey, the lawmakers only respond to what their voters actually like. No, that's if that was the case, America would be damn near perfect. Because despite what the media says, a lot of Republicans and Democrats, despite, trans people or, just some of the surface level, is systemic racism really real? Critical race theory, being woke, a trans person on a beer can. Despite all the low level, surface level bickering when it comes to legislation and bills that will actual help working people, 9 times out of 10 we agree on. 9 times out of 10 we need. So how come these lawmakers aren't making this happen? Oh, that's right. I think most of the reason is because the people paying them, the people at the top really pulling the strings. They don't give a damn about no voters. Come on, like this is elementary information right here.
Their constituents are the people that actually go to the polls and vote for them. There's a reason why, criminal justice looks the way it does in the United States, and it's because the demographic of people voting are not the demographic of people that are most often impacted by.
Bro, no. The reason why criminal justice, the system, the criminal justice system looks the way it does is because of profits. Is because it's beneficial. It's profitable. Like they say, I forget the quote. It's a funny quote, but anyway, business is good. So why change it? Oh, because voters wanted to change? No. We can't even properly figure out a way to defund the police so they're not each year being more militarized by getting more millions of dollars. Like, we can't even figure that out. But you think the voters want the criminal justice system to look the way it does? No. Money talks. Money is what gets things done. And unfortunately, I don't have billions of dollars to give to a candidate to be more progressive. I just don't got that. If I did, I would. So I would understand. I would lock in with Destiny, but I don't know what role he's trying to play here. I don't know, but it ain't on a logical level.
The criminal justice system. And I think that, when we say voting is the least we can do, I mean, young people don't do it. They don't vote. And if you're not willing to vote, nobody's going to, and they shouldn't listen to you, because at the end of the day, a politician's job is to get reelected. And if you're not going to go out and actually show up and vote for said politicians, why should they ever listen to anything you have to say?
And if young folks aren't voting, it's because, one, they probably are discouraged because they seen their parents go through the same stuff under a Republican, under the same issues under a Democrat. They work and check to check under a Republican, and they're barely making it under a Democrat. Now, does that give them a reason not to vote? Of course not. But I mean, we don't have those leaders like a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X. We don't have leaders like that no more. Who know how to, well, I mean, we do. We have a Cornel West, someone who knows how to speak to people. We had a Bernie Sanders who knew how to speak to people about what's really important to them on a day-to-day level. But what happened? What happened to Bernie? Young folks wanted to vote for him. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Democratic Party said, hell no, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, and the NLRB and the FTC right now are probably the best cases to make that point that politics and elections actually do matter. Because if you're somebody who says, well, actually, the only thing I care about is organizing Starbucks or organizing Amazon or supporting like the UAW, if you don't have a National Labor Relations Board that is supportive of labor rights, it's going to be a much tougher climb. And even when it comes to antitrust and monopoly, that touches everything. Like the inability of people to make any significant revenue on podcasts is all about antitrust. The inability of people to kind of speak freely is related to, the power of Silicon Valley that is now being contested by.
Hey, bro, just let Emma and Destiny talk, okay? Like, I'm just saying, I don't know who this guy, but just cut it short.
Joe Biden's FTC, because he won and because he appointed people like Lina Khan. I think people like trash vote blue no matter who all the time, but there's actually, if you're on the progressive wing of the party, I've often seen that kind of used in reverse, in that, let's say you get John Fetterman across the finish line in Pennsylvania, he won a primary against a right-wing Democrat. Because vote blue no matter who exists, all of the kind of conservative Democrats in the state were like, all right, I'm voting for John Fetterman.
Yeah.
And actually, AOC gets knocked a lot for that mama bear comment that she made about Pelosi.
Well, it was true.
She said that at the time where it looked like Bernie was going to seize the nomination. And so what she was trying to do is say, like, look, Bernie's going to be the nominee.
Right.
Pelosi is supportive of whoever the nominee is. Everyone else then needs to get behind Bernie, and you kind of use that vote blue no matter who momentum to say, look, you don't have a choice. He's the blue. So guess what? Vote for him. You're a socialist now.
100%. I mean, and by the true part, I just meant to say that, Nancy Pelosi, for all of her faults, she always had an ability to reach a bunch of different people in the caucus, right? And she developed those kinds of relationships, including with AOC. I thought what you were going to say was that some of the left online criticized the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was using her excess fundraising money to help other Democrats in more vulnerable positions. And I found that criticism to be quite silly, because that's an exercise in leverage, right? And she's using her political capital to get something done behind the scenes. And just because we don't see it in public, you're going to hear about that maybe in a year or so. Or you may never hear about some of the gains that she gets. But that's kind of the stuff that we don't see that happens when you actually have people who are sane in the positions of power. And Lina Khan, I mean, what is this? The best FTC chair that we've seen in
certainly
decades?
Most aggressive, yeah.
I mean, what, since the 60s or whatever? Same in terms of Biden's posture towards labor. So it's not about voting for the person like they're a celebrity. We're not electing class president.
Right, and it doesn't mean you endorse the drug war because you voted for Joe Biden.
This isn't The Bachelor, where you're not picking somebody to marry. You're picking somebody who's a figurehead. And all of the people that come along with that person, the people that are, heading those agencies, that's what you have to keep in mind. So it's this whole, it's broadening elections outside of celebrity to coalitions.
Yeah, and if you really don't like Manchin and Sinema, if you don't like these Democrats that sit right on the edge, the easiest way to take power from them isn't to primary them. It's to just have more Democrats in office. If there are 55, 57, 60 blue senators, Manchin and Sinema don't matter as much anymore, because we don't need to appeal to them, to that very center-leaning, center-right-leaning political or economic agenda in order to get what we want through the Senate.
Although in some...
Okay, so it seems like, and maybe this is just not characterizing his argument correctly, but it seems like he wants more quantity but not quality. I would rather have quality Democrats than just a whole bunch of Democrats, because the reason why Sinema and Manchin, in my opinion, the way that they are is because of money. What corporations are behind them? And I know Joe Manchin, he has some dealing with oil companies or something. So he's never going to vote against his own interest. Why would he do that? So it's like, we need high quality Democrats. And of course, the more the merrier. I get that. But we can't just throw any old Democrat up there because, hey, that money starts talking. And next thing you know, we're going to have another cinema, another mansion. Like, I mean, I don't know. It seems fairly simple to me. And what I need people to understand is everyone has a position, everyone has a role. Not everybody needs to run for office. Not everyone needs to, go out there and organize their own union. And if all you can do and all the time that you have to do is vote for who you want to. But at some point, we all need to understand and we all need to hold these politicians, especially Democrats, hold them accountable for why they're in office. Because like Destiny said, they're in office to, on paper, do what got them voted in. Not to just go in there and just collect money. That's not how that works. We need to make sure they're fighting and they're implementing what they're supposed to implement that will help the American people. And I've said this a million times today. If they do that, we will never have to worry about another Republican ever again. We don't have to worry about a third party ever again. If this one party could just get on their job and do what they're supposed to do. But I'm to the point to where I gave up on Democrats trying to meet that expectation. It just feels like they're just stuck being comfortable and stuck just keeping things the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, not too crazy. They're giving us crumb here, crumb there to keep us kind of not drowning. But we barely got our head above water. You know what I'm saying? And that would just keep us going back for more, and going back for more, just hoping one day that they might do something. But it feels like they know if they do, they're going to, like, I don't know, run out of policy. I don't know what the fear is, but that's just where I'm at. And, I'm not forcing anyone. Of course, I don't have the power to force anyone to do anything, but that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? At some point, we just need to step back. And if we need a third party, let's initiate a third party. If we need ranked choice voting, we need to force these politicians to do that. I mean, we're forcing politicians not to touch our guns. Why can't we use that same energy for other things? I mean, we do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? So once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think voting blue, no matter who, is the best strategy and the only strategy that we need to become the progressive country that we all want at the end of the day, let me know in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.